Hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Yorros. In this channel, I just get really candid about my life and kind of what I'm going through, and then just try to help you along the way. So I've been journaling today, just writing down some ideas on this journal that I got. I think I got this at TJ Maxx or something. And journaling is something that I like to do, especially when life is getting kind of crazy. But today I wasn't just journaling, I was just writing down ideas of kind of things that I would kind of want to tell my younger self. And today's video is going to be all about my tips, tricks, thoughts that I would love to share with Carla when she was in her early 20s, because I know there are some of you watching that will probably really benefit from these things as well. These are lessons that I've learned in my 20s. I am now 28 and I find that so hard to believe, because that means that I'm very close to 30. But I'm not really scared of getting older or anything like that. I just feel like entering into my 30s is going to be, well, it's obviously a new season of life, but it's going to be like, I don't know, it feels like this huge milestone. So as I get closer to my 30s, I got 2 years to go. I really have been reflecting a lot on what it was like to be 20-year-old Carla, so new to the world, had just graduated high school a few years prior, and just honestly trying to figure it all out. And that was almost, it's actually this year, it's been 10 years since I graduated high school. So that is pretty intense. It's so weird that it's already been a decade since I got out of high school. It's insane. So let's go ahead and get right into it, because I have a couple of things. And the first thing is that your 20s are all about kind of finding your purpose. And the thing is, this isn't an end all be all. I feel like when you are in your 20s, you are in such a time of discovery, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I want out of life? Like, what do I want to do with my life? When you graduate high school, and let me know if you guys have felt the same way, or if you're like a senior in high school and you're about to get out of high school and you're kind of telling yourself, I have no idea what's next. Everyone seems to know what college they want to go to. Everyone seems so sure of themselves, and I am just struggling. You are not on your own. Listen, there are so many people that will kind of treat your senior year of high school like if you're supposed to have it all together. Trust me, you do not have it all together at 18 years old. I certainly did not, but it doesn't matter that you're not, or it doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful just because you don't have it all figured out by 18 years old. Trust me, you have a whole life ahead of you, hopefully, and there's no reason that you should be freaking out saying, oh my God, what the heck am I supposed to do with the entirety of my life? That's what your 20s are for. It's for you to discover, what do I want my career to be? What do I want to do? Do I want to go to college? Do I just want to kind of go straight into a vocation? What do I want to do? So your 20s are about finding your purpose. And listen, there's no better place to find your purpose than in Christ. That has been huge for me. I used to struggle a lot with my calling in life, what was, I meant to do, and I have found so much peace in God. It's not even funny, because now I'm understanding that it's not just this one purpose that I'll have for the rest of my life. It ebbs and flows with the seasons, which is another thing that in your 20s, you're going to go through many seasons. You might go into motherhood early in your 20s. Some of us, me at 28, I'm not a mother yet. So it kind of is different for everyone, but there are seasons. You might go into motherhood, you might be in college, you might be in career, and that we're all going to be in those seasons at different timing. There isn't a set rule book. There isn't a set timeline, this like crazy timeline that we're all trying to kind of ascribe to, yet no one can seem to find this timeline. Like, if you have a PDF of this magical timeline that we're all always trying to follow, please send it over to me. But there isn't really a set in stone timeline. It's really just kind of how people have done it in the past, so maybe that's how we do it as well. And take the pressure off. Your 20s are really about finding out what's your purpose in that specific season, like what is that you're supposed to be doing, and praying and saying, God, what is it that you want me to be doing right now in this season? Another thing that I really want to talk about is, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Your 20s are going to be, like I said, it's a time of discovery. You're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, but at the same time realizing that maybe, like, if you're like me, I'm very multi-passionate. I want to do 100 different things with my life, and sometimes it's so hard to just pick one and go hard after that one. And I'm starting to learn in this season of life that I just have to pick one thing that I really want to do, go hard after it, and hopefully that eventually will make room, compensate me enough that I'm able to explore other options. But the reality is we need to not be afraid to start something and say, I don't think this is really for me. It could be starting college and realizing I don't really like going to school, and I'm a huge proponent of going to school. I think going to college is really important if you want to have a career. A lot of careers nowadays, things that maybe back in the day didn't require degrees, require them now. But there's also a lot of things that require degrees that no longer require degrees. Sometimes it's having a specific skill set and building that skill set. Like for example, I'm pretty sure photography is always, I mean, it's been around forever, right? But nowadays it's a huge lucrative business that you can start. I'm not a photographer, but I've paid for photographers before and they're very expensive, so I know they make a buck. But you know, it's like times change and sometimes industries change, and you can explore and say, do I want to go to school? Maybe I'll take a break from school and travel and kind of find out that I really like photography, or I wanted to start my own business. Like so many people during the pandemic started small businesses, which I think is so cool. I think there's a lot of people that kind of look around and say, oh my goodness, everyone has a business now. But I think it's really cool that people are able to bring supplemental income into their homes, or that stay-at-home moms are able to bring income into their home, because the day and age that we live in provides for that. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, try new things, do new things, take courses, explore different passions. I have done so many things in my 20s. I have been a worship pastor. I am currently a nurse, but I've had different jobs within nursing that are like complete opposites of each other. I went on a mission trip and I was 19. I know it's not my 20s, but you know, close enough. I got to travel, went to different conferences, explore different passions and things that I was interested in. And I have, you know, kind of honed in on some that I'm really interested in and kind of want to keep pursuing, which YouTube is one of them. I've always wanted to do YouTube, and so here I am doing it, and hopefully go somewhere, but we never know, right? This kind of goes along with that. Be kind to yourself. You're going to make mistakes in your 20s. Now, I am not saying go out and deliberately do honestly dumb things that will result in really bad outcomes. Like the reality is you might end up with a boyfriend who like actually really sucks. Then move on and be kind to yourself about it. God is so kind and forgiving. Of course, he is, like everyone says, you know, like raging fire and everything, but you're gonna make some mistakes in your 20s. And I think the key to healing from those mistakes is, quite honestly, be kind to yourself. Being young comes with the territory, making mistakes and not realizing things and not discerning certain things, and life experience is the best teacher. And so be kind to yourself. You made a mistake, move on, move forward, forgive, do what you need to do. It goes with self-care as well. Like learn from early on to speak kindly to yourself, to you know, when you do something wrong or you feel embarrassed about a mistake or a choice you made, like learn to speak kindly to yourself. That's something that I really struggled with in my 20s. Negative self-talk and, you know, catastrophic thinking, the world is ending because so-and-so said a mean thing about me, whatever. But in our 20s, it's like there's more at stake, because now like we're working, we're going to school, and we're kind of in that interesting in-between stage of like, I'm an adult, but I feel like half an adult. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. But also, this one is kind of interesting. I was thinking about this, and we need to learn to ignore others' opinion. This comes with a disclaimer, and that is sort of ignore everyone's opinions. We definitely need people in our lives that can shed light in certain areas that we are kind of blind in. For example, I sometimes am a little too trusting of people and don't realize if they have like bad intentions or whatever. But I think that's also a great quality, and I just have people in my life that you know, help me see where I have blind spots. I have blind spots in many areas. We all do, right? We don't have eyes in the back of our heads, right? It's the same way with life. We just don't see everything. And it's good to have different perspectives, but it's also really important to not listen to everyone's perspectives. We need to listen to few key wise people. That's really important. Wise, God-fearing people in our lives that can shed light in areas that we are not exactly very good at discernment. So we need to learn to like go after dreams, try new things without always being so afraid. Well, what is so-and-so gonna say? What's that high school friend that I still have in Facebook from 10 years ago going to say? What is that, you know, coworker that I have on Facebook from when I worked over there when I was 16 gonna think? Like, why are we letting people that we don't even talk to anymore, and quite frankly don't even keep up with what's going on in their lives, why are we letting them control what we do and don't do? If you really put it into that perspective, it changes things. It really does. I know for me in this channel, one of my main goals is to be like super authentic and really candid, because this that I'm doing here on YouTube really feels like this is my diary almost. Of course, I don't share everything, but this is definitely like a diary almost, where I am really sharing lessons that I've learned and things that I'm going through. And so I have really learned that I can't let, oh my God, what will people say about me, dictate what I do and don't do. This is really something I've always wanted to do, so I'm just gonna do it. Whatever. If people think I'm crazy, or if, I don't know, it fails, it doesn't matter, because I still explored a passion of mine. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, you take that as you will. Everyone struggles in their 20s. I really want to bring this down to earth, because I feel like in our 20s, we're all kind of looking at each other. We're on this race together. And I think millennials, who are the ones who are currently in our 20s and 30s, we have been running in this race together as a generation. And I'm 28 years old, right? So I am a younger millennial, but I am not Gen Z, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, like, we're this really in-between generation. In the 90s, like, some of us grew up in the 90s where we didn't have internet like we have it today. We had dial-up internet in the early 2000s, late 90s, whenever it is that it came about. I remember, you know, having to go to Blockbuster to rent gosh, this is so sad. I don't even know what they were called, but like having to rent movies. And I was like a kid when DVDs came about, and then nowadays they're like non-existent, which I'm totally not mad about that. I love streaming. Like, I think that's the best thing they've ever come up with. But I still remember when Netflix was a service that you paid for and you got movies delivered to your house. Like, I still remember that. I was a teenager when that happened. I was a teenager when the iPhone came about. I was a teenager when smartphones actually came out. I used to have this really weird flip phone MP3 player thing. It was just, yeah, Gen Z, you guys don't even know. Things were so different back then. But it's so funny, because then I also am the generation that is great with smartphones. I'm the generation that's great with computers, because we've lived in both worlds where social media wasn't a thing. I was in high school when Facebook came out and MySpace came out. So it is so interesting, the world that we are living in. And so we as millennials have walked and we have struggled, because we kind of lived in a world where we didn't have much to compare ourselves to. And then social media came about, and then there's comparison everywhere. And sometimes you're kind of running in this race together, and you're looking left and right, and you're like, is everyone like, am I keeping the pace? Am I in the place that I'm supposed to be? Like, am I supposed to be a homeowner by now? Or am I supposed to be a business owner by now? Like, you know, I think even movies have kind of idolized that idea of like, oh, I'm going to my high school 10-year reunion and I have to show how successful I am. I've made it. And maybe you find yourself in a season of life that you're like, yeah, I didn't think I'd be here at this age. I thought I would be much farther along. I didn't think I would be going through the struggles that I'm going through. I didn't think I'd be a mom this young, or I didn't think I'd be married this young, or I didn't think that I would go through this tragedy this young. Like, I get you. I so get you, because I have found myself like that in different seasons of my life. Like, oh, I thought I'd be married by now, or I thought that I would have this career by now, or whatever. And I've had to learn to let go of the timeline. It will happen when it happens. And that is so much easier said than done. Like, people who say things like that are usually people that I just want to like, just shush. Like, you talk a big game, but I know you're struggling too. We all struggle with that invisible timeline. And so I just wanted to validate that. Listen, we all struggle. But I wanted to just encourage you today and tell you, if you're in your 20s, we all struggle in our 20s, because this is such a time of discovery and experimentation. And okay, what do I want to do with my life? And you know, some of us are getting married, having babies, and like it's a time of so many firsts that it can be quite overwhelming. So I just wanted to kind of be your best friend that you could sit down, grab your coffee, grab whatever. I look really cute with this mug and everything, but I'm drinking grape juice. This is just such a beautiful time in your life. Enjoy it, have fun. I know it comes with its set of struggles and difficulties. For me, a year and a half into my marriage, 2 years ago, my husband got sick, and as a result of the pandemic with COVID, and he ended up almost losing his life. And now today he's living on dialysis, and my life looks so different. I thought I would be in a certain place in my life right now, but what he has gone through in his illness, and me kind of becoming this kind of firsthand caregiver, has really been tough. And I didn't think I'd be here, but I'm making the most of it. And so I want to encourage you, whatever you're going through, there's a purpose. And sometimes there isn't, to be quite honest, because it kind of gets me mad when people say that too. But sometimes just suffering happens in this world. And so if you're going through a tough season right now, know that I am praying for you. I see you. and you're going to be okay. All right, so I will see y'all in the next video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Bye.